And I'll give a little plug to another book, one of my favorites in the last number of years, and it's The Gap and the Gain. And that is by Dan Sullivan, which is one of the co-founders of Strategic Coach, and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So I've literally been through that book about 3 times. The Gap and the Gain is the title. But just for quick context for our listeners, the gain is really the past. So if we look at over the last, say, even 4 years since the start of the pandemic to now, we have to look at those gains. And to your point earlier, sometimes it takes a year or two to look back that far to realize that they were actually gains. For the record, all those gains aren't always success stories. Sometimes they're pivotal moments that are failures as well that we gain. We might have went left instead of right, and we realize now that ended up being the right decision. At the time, it wasn't. On the forward-thinking side of the next year or 3 years ahead, that's the gap. That's unrealized future potential and the ideal and where we want to be as well. So those are very profound points that not only I share that when I'm talking to clients, but that book sincerely became a game changer for me as well. I live in the gap way less than I used to because I've got lots of goals and dreams and objectives, but I got to celebrate where I was and where I am at today. If I look back at the start of X5 in 2006 to today, massive transformation.
Yeah.
And to the naked eye, you'd say, well, you look more or less the same. You're a little bit older, but there was so many significant gains along the way that make me who I am today. And I'm certain is the case for you as well.
Yes. And, I fail to celebrate the wins. I'll be the first to say it. And it was funny because it came up in a couple stories in the book as well, where people are talking about how you need to stop and really appreciate it. But it's like, and because that was one of the things that didn't really come up was, did they stop to appreciate it? Or is it just hindsight? And I think most entrepreneurs find themselves in that space where it's like, in the moment, it feels like you're going somewhere and you can't stop because the momentum's on your side. And, I'm a big fan of saying when you have momentum, use it, right? Take advantage of the opportunities. But if you're constantly doing that, it makes it very hard to appreciate the moment. And I know that I struggle with that. And I know that lots of entrepreneurs struggle with that.
Well, it validates, Kelly, that you're an entrepreneur because based on the interviews that I had within the book, you're bang on that. That is more hindsight for sure, not in the moment.